It's been a turbulent year for opposition politicians, with crises festering in all their main parties amid a slump in public popularity, with the looming threat of the ruling APC hanging ominously over their heads. But this week, a ray of hope as they rallied in their push for change in 2027. The two main opposition leaders, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, both joined the new ADC coalition after breaking away from their respective parties. It's being hailed as one of the biggest shake-ups in Nigerian politics since the end of military rule in 1999. And it's not just the two of them. The sheer number of prominent political operators who turned up for that inaugural ADC meeting was breathtaking. So many of them standing shoulder to shoulder. And as they metamorphosed into the new party, they said their raison d'être was the preservation of this country's democracy and the removal of the Tinubu administration from power. They said the damage the APC had wrought on this country's democracy had rendered a foundation that was erected with blood, sweat and tears in 1999. But APC leaders say they're not particularly worried. It won't be long, they say, before things fall apart. Well, the ADC retorts that it is not the Labour or PDP, but is the new fortress from which opposition politicians will surge up the siege ladder and lay into the battlements of the APC. So how choppy are Nigeria's political waters likely to be going forward? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed, who is part of the new opposition coalition. How nice to see you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Charles.
And you look very relaxed and very fresh.
Thank you.
So clearly, optimism in the new arrangements.
When you start your questions, I want to know the new...
Well, let me ask you this question first, because we need to establish very clearly what is going on. Both you and Peter Obi have now unquestionably left the Labour Party and are now avowedly in the ADC. Is that right?
I can't speak for His Excellency Peter Obi. I'll speak for myself.
Well, he issued a statement saying he had left.
Well, then take his word for it. As for me, I have not left Labour Party.
Okay.
I am considering the coalition who have adopted ADC.
Right.
Now, don't consume the excitement. Don't be consumed by the excitement. Okay, manage the excitement. Right now, it's all about excitement. Understandably so, because Nigerians are depressed as much as they are oppressed. So this excitement can easily consume everyone. Right. And what I'm saying is hold back, think critically, think very well. And before you fire another question, let me just say the opposition is right in all that it is doing. I agree wholeheartedly in coming together. The principles behind it, the objectives of it are all correct. But you're also playing somebody else's game. This game is Tinubu's game. And I'm not praising him in any way whatsoever. But everyone must understand the situation as it were. Please be patient. Let me, in summary, narrate everything. President Buhari, after losing the third time, cried to the world that he's done with politics. And that's when it began. There are internal issues with Buhari, but the external ones are, that is when Tinubu saw the opportunity, bring him back into the fold after the 07 Atiku and 11 Ribadu. Add the Southwest and the Tinubu influences to his existing 12 million votes. It was easy to convince Buhari to come back in any way because he carries a lot of baggage who only survive from political donations. I'm sorry to say that's the truth. So Buhari just has to contest every election. Ever since the PTF days after the passing of Abacha, Buhari was removed from head of state without any trade whatsoever. So he and his can only live off a political system. But I'm not hitting at Buhari. Tinubu saw this opportunity, saw the weakness in Buhari, pumped a lot of money, brought his party machinery, and then injected his own agenda. That you go now, I'll make the name of being a kingmaker. I have made from councillor to governors. Now I want to make a president. And if I make a president, I'll make myself a president. That is what happened. Coalition now is playing the scripts of Tinubu. I believe in the coalition, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But you don't have to play the game the way he did.
Yeah, but what is the script?
The script is what I've just narrated to you, Charles. Exactly how
Yeah, but how does that relate to the opposition coalition?
What opposition is saying, again I repeat, I'm in support of this opposition.
Right.
Now, there are structural misgivings in the coalition as it were today. Buhari was the distant anointed from the ab initio. The convener, Tinubu, already had it, and whoever he enrolled was, understand that Buhari is going and after him I will come. And you have to buy into that. However, we won't stop you from contesting.
Yeah, but
let me finish.
We already got that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just that we haven't got all the time
I'm
in
saying,
the world, so I need to
Buhari was the distant anointed.
Right. You made that point.
This opposition does not have a distant anointed. So there will be a very close gap, and so there will be a very tight struggle. Possibly
right.
a not so clean primaries struggle for it. Now the question is, what will the aftermath be?
So that your real concern is that there isn't someone who is very clearly going to wear the mantle of, if you like, presidential leadership.
Yeah, exactly.
In that coalition.
Exactly. Atiku almost cuts it, but it's not exactly there because Buhari is what I would call an outlier, an unusually high observation in a data set. That's what he was. Now, come to the next point. Again, I have said that there isn't a Buhari in the coalition. There isn't a Tinubu in this coalition. You don't have one
So it's
individual.
a free-for-all, basically, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Right.
You have the proverbs better than I do.
Yeah,
but you're asking the questions.
But let's try and take it systematically.
Yeah.
Okay, so that we understand exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
You attended that meeting yesterday.
Yes.
You've been attending coalition meetings.
I attended 3.
Right, okay. But that suggests that there was something that was bringing you back.
Yes.
And something that you're not entirely satisfied with in the Labour Party that you're currently still in.
Not so. You can never be 100% satisfied wherever you are. There are misgivings. I really, really wanted to bring Peter Obi back on the negotiating table with the leadership. I wanted everything sorted out, him to remain. Right. And I still, if I have a chance, I'll still do it.
So you're disappointed because he's now said that he's left. In fact, the Labour Party gave him a 48-hour ultimatum. They issued a statement.
You need to be very sure about that if he has left. You need to be very sure.
Well, on his Twitter handle, he said he was now in the ADC coalition.
Yes. Now, technically speaking, being in the ADC coalition does not mean you have left your party. Refer to the meeting of Tuesday night and the communique issued after that meeting. It doesn't say that you have left your own political party. And this is a legal point.
No, I'm not even talking about the ADC, what they've said. I'm talking about what is happening in the Labour Party,
Yes.
who essentially, I mean, the leadership, although there is a divided leadership, but the leadership gave him an ultimatum of 48 hours to resign. And subsequently, he issued a statement saying he had actually left. But let's not get bogged down.
Let's get to
yeah,
the more.
I mean, what I need to understand, because there are a lot of people who listen to you
Yes.
and want to know what your perspective is on this. And you said you had attended at least 3 meetings, and you were there for that ADC sort of
Charles,
moment.
Labour Party deserves better than being walked away from.
Yeah, but the
Labour
Labour Party
Party
seemed to be walking away from you, not you walking away from them.
No. Labour Party deserves better than being walked away from. Despite all misgivings, we know the hands that are playing each and every party. This is a party that scored, by our own count, over 10 million votes. This is a party that defeated APC and PTP together, irrespective of what the law courts said.
Yeah, but nobody was really taking the Labour Party seriously until you and Peter Obi turned up.
Yes, and equally...
So people are voting for Peter Obi, and they said that they would follow him. The obedient movement have said they'll follow him wherever he goes. So it doesn't really matter what it is.
All individuals in their own rights do have their followers in certain given measures. But in any way, you caught me right in my explanation. Maybe you can bring me back where I was.
Well, I mean, the point I'm trying to make and to understand is the fact that you're essentially saying that there is now a division between yourself and Peter Obi.
No.
Political division.
You guys are too good. Charles.
Well, I'm just trying to understand it. If I'm wrong, let me know.
Don't give the wrong information out there.
Right.
I am very, very much in sync with Peter Obi.
Because there are people who are looking forward.
Yes.
In fact, some people have already started saying on social media that the only ticket that is going to work with this new, I'm just trying to find where I actually made that note. They said the only chance this ADC coalition has of properly challenging and possibly removing President Tinubu from office in 2027 is 1, if they zone the presidency to a southerner, and 2, if Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed become the joint ADC ticket for 2027. That's what people have already started saying. So they're going to be monstrously disappointed.
No. You have this power, Charles, of trying to...
Well, it's not a power. I don't have any power.
I can admit today you're somehow dominating this conversation.
No, please. And that's not the intention.
It's like I'm interviewing you. It's like I'm the one interviewing you.
No, we want to hear from you. Please, go ahead.
Right. There's a great deal of excitement, which I think we should not be swept away by in this coalition. You have key players. Peter Obi, I'll call him first, Amechi, Atiku, and maybe Nasiru El-Rufai. And they've come together from diverse backgrounds with a variety of interests. And out of these three, you can imagine that Atiku, Obi, and Amechi clearly are front runners in this. It makes me think, how will the contest be?
That's a good point.
Because they are very close in the race, very, very close in the race. What will the aftermath of this contest be? That's why I made the analogy, the example with the Buhari case, who was a distant outlier very distant from the pack. All these three are very close together. Now, will two others still remain in the coalition if one takes it? Now, you're right. Let's come back to this unwritten understanding in Nigerian presidential politics. North 8, South 8, the rotation. I'm speaking from experience because I was directly involved. And it was part of my campaign speeches in 2022-23. Did you realize in 1819, from the two major parties, not a single Southerner even bought the INEC form for presidency? What does that say? Respect, brotherhood, gentlemanness, and all these things. And of course, Atiku contested in PDP and he won. It was not a question. Buhari was the candidate of APC and, Buhari took the day eventually. Come 2022-23, Atiku was still on the ticket. And now, Peter Obi came out from the south and contested. Amechi contested and came second in APC, second to Tinubu, who is also from the south. So you see, three leading candidates. 2027, the default position thinking also is that it should be from the south. So if Atiku takes it, how will Amechi and Peter Obi take it? Now, for the Peter Obi and Atiku, together they were either rigged out or defeated in 19. Apart, they were either rigged out or defeated in 2023. You come back together, hey guys, who are you playing with? Is this a joke? And the way I take Peter Obi, I think he is much, the position of VP is very big anyway. I wanted to be and I was rigged out. But I think Peter Obi should not be a VP, having gotten a disputed 10 million votes. Now you're starting to understand what I mean.
But he has made it clear.
Now, it is all about, listen, it is all about a narrative that was sold out to Nigeria very quickly. That to defeat Tinubu, it has to be our coalition. Coalition is good. But when in 2023 we defeated APC, PDP, there was no coalition in Labour Party. The real coalition we need is in the ballot box.
Yeah, but that's
not a coalition.
Speculative.
Not a coalition. Let's stop that. But please, let me get to my point. The real coalition is of votes at the ballot box. You protect them all the way to declaration. You present a coalition of politicians. You open the flanks for being attacked that they are geriatrics, and everything that you said about this. And you open the flanks for APC to be talking their jargon, when APC has worse than what they are saying about ADC. So in reality, what you need are the votes for a credible candidate, for a credible ticket.
Yeah, I think
there is no law
concedes that.
There is no law, there is no principle which says that it must be a coalition. Now that is the narrative that I kept saying. If you are challenging this narrative, you need to be careful. And if you're invited to a coalition, like I was, no level of firmness should tell you that don't go into that. Go and at least listen. See what they're doing. If you agree, continue. If you don't, do what your alternatives are. That is the thing.
But you went there several times. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I mean, it's a dialogue. It's not a sort of monologue. I mean, you went there several times.
Yes.
You went there 3 times. So something must have attracted you back to listen to them.
Attraction.
What I'm trying to understand is, what is the guiding principle of this ADC opposition coalition beyond wanting President Tinubu to be removed from office? What is it about his philosophy that attracted you to it? And is there an overriding cause that kindles a sort of fire in your heart that you think is in the best interest of Nigeria?
There are 2 questions here. One is for David Mark, Senator David Mark. What the principles and everything, please let him explain those things to you.
But I thought you guys were discussing it at your meeting.
We are. That is typically a question for the party leaders to answer you. The second question you ask is, what is the driving, attracting me? Yeah. The attraction in ADC, which I still believe in the coalition, I believe in and are very likely to work with them, is that coming together is good, especially to chase out APC.
Yeah, but you just said that you don't believe that the way to get rid of the president is through coalition.
No.
I mean, you said that a
No,
minute.
the narrative was that they have sold it out to Nigeria that the only way to defeat Tinubu or APC is coalition, and that is wrong. A clean political party fielding the right candidate will beat APC hands down, even in the presence of a coalition.
Well, let me make this point, okay? I mean, there is nothing...
Did you get me? Did you understand me?
I understand what you mean, but...
Let me say it again, please.
But no, I understood what you
right.
said. There is nothing stopping the Labour Party from fielding a presidential candidate.
Good.
There's nothing stopping the PDP. You're saying, I mean, nobody ever said they were going to be stopped.
Right, but I was talking to you about the narrative.
Yeah.
Which has gone on that is leading to the excitement we saw yesterday.
But that's okay. That's for them. They're the ADC.
Yes.
They are a coalition.
Yes.
And it is their job to promote their coalition.
Yes.
But I completely agree with you that that's a way. It's not the way. I mean, there are other ways. So I don't want to get bogged down in sort of that.
Yes, this conversation is going, it's becoming like a chitter-chatter. But, but do you know that, for example, if Wike were to finish destroying the PDP and leave,
right,
PDP could go and join this coalition. Do you know that's possible?
Well, it depends on if the coalition want the PDP to join them.
Of course they will welcome. Of course they will. And later, if Labour Party decides they're inspired to join the coalition,
right,
they are very well welcome to join. That is why it's called a coalition. And when they join the coalition, then they will say our platform is ADC.
Right. Okay. Well.
I hope this is very clear.
I understand that, but let me.
I hope this is very clear, and it even sounds better that you go about in your PDP, keep calm. This elephant in the China ware shop, let him finish destroying, go and move into APC, and then come and say, look, here we are for the coalition. That's PDP, go and take themselves. And Labour Party, for any reason, we don't want to take the risks of letting Tinubu win again. And we think it is safer to join this coalition. They are welcome.
Yeah. But
it's even more powerful.
Right. I agree. But
being in Labour Party or PDP now is really not anti-coalition.
But let me work on the premise of the point that you made earlier, which is that you are willing to work with the coalition.
Correct.
And that you are likely going to work with the coalition.
Correct.
Did you feel a bit strange being in the same room and professing to be in the same coalition with so many politicians who you were ranged against in 2023 and who you and Mr. Obi felt were a corrosive influence on this country?
Yes, it was simply unbelievable. Believe me, I'm still gasping for air. I mean, I remember, with due respect, I remember Nasiru El-Rufai dancing his eyes around and saying, if the heavens will come down to earth, Bola Ahmed Tinubu must be sworn in as president. I remember that clearly.
I remember that as well.
And I remember him walking out of the Senate. And I remember them saying that, look, the same APC he did, they said that there's a security file on him. He can't be a minister. I also remember in less than a year later, he wants to kick out. I remember everything that's, between El-Rufai and so many other leaders that he now goes to kneel down and greet again. I'm gasping for air. I don't understand what is going on. There are people who have been in this government for 24 years. They've been out of it only 2 years and they are crying and shouting, we must throw this government out. I have been in parliament only 4 years and 8 months, and I'm as happy as I can be. I believe I can defeat President Tinubu very, very comfortably. I have never been in the executive, and so many things. I have never issued any government contract, unless if they want to lie at me. There's nothing. I take people to EFCC. They don't take me to EFCC. Yeah, but we're in the same room with people that I never imagined will be. And I doubt what people can do for power. This underscores why I say we should not be misled, consumed by this excitement.
Yeah.
Because, as they say in English, when the chips are down and it's time to do primaries, what kind of primaries is Atiku going to do with an Amechi? You know how Atiku does primaries? Mercilessly. I remember those dollars flying. Well, we're in the same coalition, but in Port Harcourt, I remember the dollars flying. Remember, I'm with Atiku. Atiku, I'm with you. Please, if you're hearing me, we're in the same coalition. And then, what kind of primaries are they going to do? Am I going to deceive myself, okay, that all is going to be well in this ADC? The beginning of good governance if you run good primaries.
So what are you then hoping to get out of this new coalition in terms of political capital? Because you are a politician. I mean, are you just...
Can I stop you? Can I stop you?
Let me just make this
No,
point
I need
quickly.
to stop you.
Are you just going to sacrifice the millions of votes that you and Peter B got? I mean, to politicians who may not share your philosophy or that of the obedient movement?
Every 4 years, I save my leave allowances. At the end of those 4 years, I go to buy a certain nomination form. I am not a politician, and I'm saying it again in TV. I am not your typical Nigerian politician, but I do politics. For the sake of my country, I can go to war. What is there in doing politics? So I am not a politician. People have told me to stop saying it, but I'm saying it. I hate the lies that go around. I hate the deception and all those things that happen, because it is not me to do those kind of things. So your question, that's why I wanted to stop you. I am not a politician. Yeah, I do politics.
Right. But what I asked you is,
yeah,
I understand that. But when you go in to politics,
yes,
which you're in,
yes,
the assumption is that you're going in for a particular reason.
Yes.
And my question was, what are you hoping to get out of this new coalition in terms of political capital?
What I'm hoping to get is to get the leadership for Nigeria that will solve all our problems. Solve the problems of insecurity, be it anybody, I don't have to call names. I'm ready to support.
Right.
I'm ready to kill my ambition at any time. My ambition is Nigeria to be good.
But if the
and I can go back to the classroom.
Right.
If Buhari had provided good governance since then, I would never have bothered myself. If there are signs that Tinubu will ever practice what is good governance, well, but there is no way. The political capital I'm looking for is good governance to emerge.
Right.
Peace, prosperity, and security for Nigeria. If that is done, life is easier where I am in the classroom.
But obviously there's a route to getting
there is a route to getting it, and that route is terrible. That route is not good. That route cleans out any morality in most people that are not strong enough to protect themselves in it. You come out, go through terrible party process, terrible primaries, horrendously expensive general elections. Okay? At the end of it all, instead of you being able to transform the system has transformed you. Don't say that I'm attacking one individual, please. What happened to Buhari? That they became so corrupt? It's because they allowed the political system to consume them. And then they became the typical corrupt leaders. Insecurity was promoted, profligacy, complacency in everything that you know. And again, what we're suffering today in Nigeria is You have the practitioners of insecurity, and then those are out there in the underworld. Then you have the actual, real terrorists and bandits out speaking in public. Whoever comes out to say after the Benue killings that this government has fought insecurity is a terrorist.
Right.
Whoever is saying that the government has fought insecurity in the Northwest is a bandit. While those who are actually doing the banditry are only bandit practitioners. Those who are killing out there are terror practitioners. How can you kill 200 people and no one has been arrested?
Well, they said they've arrested some people.
Before that, how many people were killed?
Well,
the ones in Plateau, have they arrested anyone?
Right.
The ones in Kebbi, have they arrested anyone?
But I just want to return to...
The hundreds and thousands that have
I understand
been killed.
that because a lot of people are aware of what you're talking about.
Yes.
The question is, how do you then hold that government to account and, if you like, get it out of office if you think they're not doing well? And that brings us back to the coalition.
Yes.
And my question is, in the circumstances that you find yourself in that coalition,
Yes.
would you be supportive if Atiku Abubakar or Nasir El-Rufai or Rotimi Amechi or Peter Obi emerges as the presidential candidate? Or would you have some principles that you think some of them would violate and which you simply wouldn't support?
First of all, I need to see very clean, very transparent primaries taking place. I say two things. It needs to be clean, it needs to be transparent. Take place. Will that happen? I don't know. I'm a good team player. And at the end of the day, there's only so much you human can do. I was in Port Harcourt. I was the 12th aspirant in Port Harcourt. And I served as chairman of research and strategy in the PDP 2018-19. Credibly, I served. I was, because I didn't want a presidential contest coming from the North in 2023, I thought of contesting governorship until when I saw the kind of primaries that were to be held. And I pulled out. The next day, Peter Obi pulled out of PDP. That's what happened. So to answer your question, if I'm in the coalition and a candidate emerges, I will readily emerges based on the kind of acceptable practices that should happen to me. I will gladly work with that person. I will support that person.
And that person doesn't have to be Peter Obi, who you ran with in 2023.
It doesn't have to be. If Peter Obi is with me in Labour Party, we all decide to go back stay back in Labour Party and contest, I'm with him by default. By default. If he contests in coalition and he wins it, I'll give him the support. It's left for him. I told him way back in I gave him 3 names. One of which is Nasir El-Rufai. That if you want to take this guy, from all indications, this is where he's coming. 2 years ago, I had predicted El-Rufai was headed this way. And there are many correct calculations that I did that have come true. Which I don't
when
have
you say
enough
El-Rufai,
energy.
you mean that Peter Obi is considering
No.
running with
I'm saying
so
he will come into some form of a coalition.
Right.
And try to play the kind of role that he's playing today.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me. I mean, we're almost out of time, and we've gone beyond.
Yeah, I don't know how this conversation went.
We've gone beyond. I mean, there are no serving governors from the PDP or Labour who have joined this coalition. I mean, Bala Mohammed or Sheyi Makinde or Peter Mba or Alex Oti, the governors of APGA or NNPP, none of them are in it. I mean, does that weaken that coalition?
It doesn't. What happened in 2022? First of all, what happened in 2020?
Just very briefly.
Yeah, very briefly.
There's another question I want to ask
all right.
before we have to
These
go.
things do happen spontaneously. 1998, after Abacha's passing away, the formation of PDP and all those. 2022, May, when Peter Obi left and joined and Labour Party, and it happened, and all the things that happened. about the same is likely to happen again. So you and I are speaking a bit too early.
Right.
And that is why maybe our conversation today has not been as smooth as, and because you interrupt a lot.
You said I interrupt. Well, you wanted a monologue, did you?
I wanted an analog.
You wanted a monologue, not a dialogue. But let me ask you this before we go.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can briefly comment on the resignation of Umar Ganduje as chairman of the APC and the rumors that are flying around about how stable the position of the Vice President Kashim Shettima is.
Wow, good questions. And I'll be quick.
Yeah.
As it says, now you see, now you don't. Now it's him, now it's not. Yesterday in the morning it was Ganduje, in the afternoon it wasn't him. Who knows? Tomorrow morning it could be Tinubu, in the afternoon it could be not. It could be me, it could be not. It could be you, it could be not. You see, maximum rulers, dictators, terror leaders, they are invincible to the last second. We have seen in history from 1997, the Suhartos, the Gaddafis, Bouteflikas, Ben Ali, Mubarak, al-Bashir, Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, the most recent one. So it could be, you see a flourishing, powerful president, I see a rigged leader. You see a burgeoning administration, I see a violated constitution. So in the morning, Ganduje was flouting his chairmanship. In the afternoon, he's gone. He's human. He's blown away. Even a president is not too much for this to happen to. So that's about him. About Shettima, I don't blame Tinubu. Because whoever knows what Shettima did and does will not even allow him last this long.
What does he do?
The airwaves cannot carry it. I'm telling you, the airwaves cannot carry it. And I know I'm speaking on TV. So Tinubu has tried keeping him this long. So even the consideration that he be dropped, I think Tinubu has tried for keeping him this long. But,
yeah, but you know, that's a very pregnant statement you've just made.
It is pregnant. I wish I could say, but look.
So what's the point of bringing it up if you're not going to say it? It's not fair on him.
What people do for power is unbelievable. I am more than gasping for air to understand how certain things can give you power. It is not of this world. And it did happen. They do it. Somebody one day must come out and say, this is what politicians do for power.
Yeah, but you're saying things and insinuating things and suggesting things without any clarity, and that's not fair.
It is not fair because even saying it itself is even more unfair. It's even more drastic.
So why are you saying it?
Because it has to be said.
Right.
Do you understand? Some of the things, the more you see them, the less you understand. Why was it declared at 4 a.m.? Now let me answer your question.
You mean the election?
The election.
The election result.
On the 28th, Mahmoud Yakubu said he was adjourning till the next day. Next day, technically and legally speaking, is 9 a.m. And by 4 a.m., he sneaked and declared Tinubu a winner. What transpired in between?
Well,
who came, listen, you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Who came from one house in Asokoro to another house to say that it has to be now?
Well, I don't know. You answer that question.
Yeah, and what I'm telling you is that the airwaves cannot, it is so bad the airwaves cannot carry it.
So are you implying that
something happened that morning before 4 a.m.
Right.
that they said before these things finish at the Nigerian border?
And it was who did that? Because we're trying to understand the link between what you're saying and the thing you were saying about the vice president.
Listen, Tinubu has tried. Believe me, he has tried. For keeping this man this long and for even giving him the privilege of being replaced, I think is good enough.
But your brother served in his office.
Do I care? And what happened when he served? He left.
Well, he eventually left, but I
you.
mean, he thought he was good enough to go in the first place.
And then he discovered,
serve in his office.
and then he discovered he wasn't good enough, and he walked away. Look, Charles, in this world, there are things that you rather not talk about because it's just too bad. This TV station is not a court of law. I know what insinuations are. I know what allegations are. I'm not crazy. I'm not insane. And I know what I'm saying, that what people do for power is unspeakable. And these things have to stop.
Right.
Why are we getting everything wrong in Nigeria? Why can't our leaders perform? Because of what people do for power. To get power, everything, and the difference between us losers and some winners is because there are certain things we cannot do. There are certain lines we cannot cross. But others who say whatever there is to do, do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you that there is something very shady and dodgy about Nigerian politics, and that if you want to be victorious, you do a lot of strange things. However, that is not an indictment on the vice president of this country, and it's not fair on him for things to be suggested or insinuated about him without clarity.
It's better not that clarity, believe me. Better. Not that clarity.
Okay. Well, let's leave it there, shall we?
Please do.
On that note, I want to say thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It's always good to talk with you. You're very forthright, and you're very, very honest with your feelings, and I think people appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed is the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election. He's part of the new opposition coalition